Okay, it's 3 o'clock. I'd like to call the meeting of the Board of Commissioners Internal Services Committee to order. Mr. Keys, would you take the roll?
Yes, I'll start with Chair Brown.
Don Brown, operating remotely from Mount Clemens, Michigan, Macomb County.
Thank you. And Committee Chair Van Sickle.
Commissioner Van Sickle, remotely from Sterling Heights, Macomb County, Michigan.
Commissioner Kleinfeld.
Commissioner Kleinfeld voting remotely from East Point, Macomb County, Michigan.
Commissioner Romano.
Commissioner Romano, District 4, Sterling Heights, present and participating remotely in Macomb County, Michigan.
Commissioner Kraft.
Commissioner Phil Kraft, attending remotely from Chesterfield Township, Macomb County, Michigan.
Commissioner Haw.
Commissioner Haw, attending remotely, Roseville, Macomb County, Michigan.
Commissioner Wallace.
Commissioner Wallace, attending remotely from Mount Clemens, Macomb County, Michigan.
Commissioner Song.
Commissioner Song, attending remotely from Lansing, Ingham County, Michigan.
Commissioner Zinner.
Commissioner Zinner, attending remotely from Harrison Township, Michigan, Macomb County.
Commissioner Matuzik.
Commissioner Matuzik, participating remotely from Clinton Township, Macomb County, Michigan.
Commissioner Farrington.
Commissioner Farrington, participating remotely from Utica, Macomb County, Michigan.
Commissioner Sabatini.
Commissioner Sabatini, attending remotely from Macomb Township, Macomb County, Michigan.
And Commissioner Nard.
Commissioner Nard, attending remotely from Warren, Macomb County, Michigan.
And that completes the roll.
Thank you. We'll now have the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like a motion to adopt the agenda.
Romano adopts the agenda.
Support by Nard.
We have a motion by Commissioner Romano, supported by Commissioner Nard, to adopt the agenda. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please vote.
Commissioner Wallace votes yes.
That motion passes 13-0.
Thank you. I'd like a motion to adopt the minutes, to approve the minutes.
So move, Haw.
Support Sabatini.
Thank you. We have a motion made by Commissioner Haw, supported by Commissioner Sabatini, to approve the minutes from February 10th of this year and March 10th of this year. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please vote.
Yes.
That motion passes 13-0.
Okay, good. We'll move into public participation. The first opportunity for public participation is for those who wish to speak for a maximum of 5 minutes on an item which is on today's agenda. The second opportunity for public participation is for those who wish to speak on issues other than what's on today's agenda. For those planning to speak during public participation, please be advised, according to Rule 21 of the adopted board rules, personal attacks, coarse and derogatory language, and cursing will not be tolerated. Individuals using such language will be removed from the meeting. Also, those who call in by phone for public participation will be asked to speak first in an orderly fashion. Those who join virtually will be asked to type their name into the Google chat box. Those names will be called in the order in which they are received. Staff, is there anybody on the phone for public participation?
Chair, there doesn't appear to be anybody on the phone or in the chat box.
Thank you. Calling again for any public participation. If you're on your cell phone or phone, you might need to hit *6 to unmute yourself. Anyone for public participation? Hearing none, public participation is closed. We'll now move into department recommendations. The first up is for Vastec scanning and indexing of vaccination records with CARES Act funding of $72,326.94. And I believe our CIO, Jaco, would like to address this.
Chair, I'll make the motion to approve to full board.
Thank you. Do I hear support?
Support by Nard.
Thank you. Commissioner Ha made a motion to recommend this to the full board, supported by Commissioner Nard. You're on, Jacob.
Thank you, Commissioners. Good afternoon. I'm requesting approval for a contract with a company called Vastec to scan and index vaccination records from the health department. We've been using this company throughout the pandemic to do work for public works, environmental health, as well as community corrections. It is really two quotes. The first part of it is to scan the existing documents that is already out there, and then the second part of it is to continue scanning every week as documents become available. We plan on it's the number that I gave you, 72,326.94, is just an estimate because we really don't have an idea of exactly how many documents are going to be available. It all depends on how many people get vaccinated. So if that number then changes within the 5% limit, we will obviously come back to the board for that purpose. But we anticipate the full project to be around that $72,000. That's it. If you have any questions.
I need to click over into the other window.
Chairman Sickle, I
Commissioner
do see we have a list of speakers starting with Commissioner Matuzak.
Yes, Commissioner Matuzak.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Hi, Jaco. How does this request work with the software we purchased a few meetings ago about data collection in the health department? Are these compatible? Do these work together?
Yeah, Commissioner, it's really at the end of the day all one process. But as people come into the clinic, the health department record the information on paper, and that information is what we're talking about. That actual paper copies of the information that's submitted to them when a person come in for the vaccination. Exactly how everything ties in together, Andrew Cox would probably be a better person to answer that question. I hope that helps.
Yeah, we spent a fair amount of money purchasing a system that was data gathering for the health department that would mostly it's being paid for out of COVID money and would be used to primarily do the same sort of thing. So I'm sort of wondering, is this being scanned into that system? I'm hoping that we're spending COVID money in ways that are compatible and is a seamless system as possible going forward.
We will definitely make those transitions as the new system gets implemented. If we can integrate information without having to do this, or at least part of it, that will definitely be part of the process. They are currently working on the integration of this of the new system that we purchased. But exactly, if that is exactly possible at all times because of the fact that data input still has to happen, I'm not exactly sure how that process works.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Zong.
Thank you, Chair. Hi, Jaco. How are you?
Good. How are you, Commissioner?
Good. Do all the vaccination records have to be written down on paper? Why are we still using paper? Maybe provided with tablets to input the information? Is there a reason why there has to be the records on paper?
Commissioner, this is how it was designed, right off the bat. You can imagine when all this started, everything is really done at a high speed, to get processes in place so that we can start vaccinations. I'm not disputing that, there's not better processes for us, but obviously as we evolve and move forward, we will improve processes. But I do know that part of it is that we had to put data down on paper when people come in for vaccinations.
Okay, I understand that, but I think there's a better process. So I would like to see a new process moving forward after December 31st, after this contract ends. I also want to make a note that I believe on page 2, there is a typo. It says through December 2012. I believe it's supposed to say December 2021. So it looks like the 12 and the 21 is just needs to be swapped.
Yep, you're correct.
All right. And then you said that the state is requiring this information and that's why it needs to be scanned. So the state doesn't provide a system to do this, right? This comes out of the county's CARES Act budget.
Yeah, the state have systems, and again, Andrew can speak better to this, but the state have what we call a MICR system, where all this data have to be inputted, as it happens. So that's on the state end, but exactly, whether we have the ability to just take electronic copies and, do that, I'm not 100% sure. I do know that in the new program, we're working on integration of the of our vaccination system with the state MICR system, so that no entries have to be made manually.
Okay, now last question. When these documents are scanned, will they actually be like editable text, or will it be like a flat document where you can't copy and paste the data that's being scanned?
I believe it's going to be PDFs. So just a scanned PDF document.
So when the information is scanned, I mean, you still have to input it into the state system, or when it gets scanned, can that information be pulled into dynamically into an Excel sheet or some type of file besides a PDF?
I'm not 100% sure if that is the case. Like I said, we are in a transition, into our new system, and obviously we have a team working on that. I don't know exactly how that process is going to work, but what we are trying to do with the new system is that we are trying to integrate it to such an extent that the transfers to the state, as well as the ingestion of the information, takes place more electronically.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Commissioner Kleinfeld.
Thank you, Chair. My questions were really very similar. But when I went to get my vaccine, I had to make an appointment. So I was already in their computer, and I was in their computer for the date and time that I was supposed to be there. The people that greet us at the door, they had the list of names, and they got that off of a computer. Then when you go and you check in, you check in with an individual that has your name on a computer. So it seems to me at that moment, all you really need is 2 more columns. Well, one is a date. If you're going to just keep it, you could do that by day, but have a date by each name for future if you want to sort them in different ways. And yes, a checkbox for the first vaccine or the second vaccine and the type of vaccine. So we're already in the computer. So the only paper copy I thought would exist would be the one that you give to the individual so that they can carry it with them. I absolutely can't grasp the need for this one. And if you look at the price of it, well, we could hire a full-time employee, for over a year for that. They could probably get everything scanned in within a year. I don't know what the timeline is to the state, but we're already in the computer system. So why is that an issue? Especially if we're on a spreadsheet, which I don't know. I didn't see the computer system.
Jaco, this is Vandragg. I think I could help probably with some of these questions and address some of these. The computer system, the IT front desk, is a scheduling software system. It does not interface with MICR, which is the data repository for your immunization records. We're required to input that data that we collect on the vaccination form. So that's a legal document of a medical document that we need to collect at our vaccine site. That information is not all on the IT front desk system, which is the scheduling software. When you make an appointment, all you give is your name, date of birth, and your gender to make that appointment. We also collect additional information on the vaccine form, which we're required to do. What this scanning project is that we are data entering on site, but what the state did was they released additional data fields, especially for race and ethnicity, that needs to be back entered. And this was done several months into the vaccination campaign. So what has to occur is that information has to be entered back, and talking about tens of thousands of records, which we just don't have the capacity to, and the staff available to do that. So what the state is doing, they're gonna back enter that data, but we need to get that data to them somehow. And we're not gonna mail all of our vaccination forms physically to the state to do that. So what this project will do will scan it all into a PDF document so that they can back enter that data. That until our system is in place, the Qualtrics system, to interface and get all that information into the current system, the MICR system. So this is, hopefully that explains. I'll be happy to answer the additional questions though.
All right, the additional information wasn't something that I was aware of, so thank you.
No problem.
Anything else, Commissioner Kleinfeld?
No, thank you, Chair. I'm sorry.
Commissioner Zinner?
I'm not sure who to direct this question to, so I will start with Andrew since he answered the last question. Is the data system for the people who have received the vaccine, I think the answer is going to be no, but I don't know. Is it entered into a federal system at this time, or will this system that you're talking about put it into a federal system?
So Commissioner Zinner, this is each state, it's up to them on how they keep their database and registry, and ours is done through the MICR. So that is a state registry that goes to the state information. So the information that we're talking about interfacing all goes into that MICR database, and that's that data repository for your records. I can't speak to whether the state shares any of that data to the feds, but we don't do that directly.
Do you have any information that it will be shared with the federal government at all? Have you?
Not that I'm aware of, Commissioner.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
I don't see any other speakers, but I have a question myself. It seems to me this would be medical information under the guidelines of HIPAA. Is that true?
That is
That is
correct,
correct.
Commissioner.
Well, with all my other healthcare providers, before they are allowed to share any of my HIPAA data with anybody else, I have to give specific approval to them to share it. So since the county is one entity and the state is a separate entity, do we have to get HIPAA approval to share information from each of the people whose records you want to share with the state? And if not, why not?
As a part of that vaccination form, Commissioner, you are consenting to providing that information as well as getting getting a medical procedure, which is your vaccine. We are required by law to enter that information into our MICR system. This is the same that occurs at your pharmacies, Walgreens, CVS, as well as any medical provider also has to enter into this by law. So this is a requirement for us.
When you say any medical provider, you're not referring to all medical procedures, you're just referring to the vaccine?
Correct. There are other reportable illnesses that healthcare has to report as well, but I'm just talking about vaccinations into the MICR improvement, Michigan Care Improvement Registry.
Thank you. Commissioner Sabatini?
Thank you, Chair. So Andrew, really quick, just to be clear on this, we're specifically talking about the vaccine administration record that someone is filling out and bringing to the vaccination site, correct?
That is correct, Commissioner.
So I guess my next question is what will be the process going forward? Will it continue to be paper, or are we going to go to something electronic?
So there's multiple reasons why we do it by paper. One is infection control. What you don't want to have happen is tablets or kiosks that people are putting their hands on during a pandemic that are multiple services touching. We see over 3,000 people a day at that site. You can imagine that we're very careful. After each person has a pen and clipboard, we sanitize it. I don't know if we could do that after every single person because it would significantly impact flow. What we do allow people to do is print that form off, fill it out ahead of time, and bring it. That way it also doesn't bog down our clinic flow, because that's an important aspect of this too, that we don't want people to be taking a long time and slowing down the clinic flow.
Okay. So my other thought was with this, and maybe this is a question more for Jaco, is I would think that using a digital platform like a DocuSign or something like that, that this can be done. I could do this on my computer at home as I'm registering, and you already have all the information in the computer to eliminate the entire process. So when I show up to get vaccinated, all this information is already in your system. Is that an option? And I understand that there may not be everybody that can do it that way, but I would think that if we have two options, one digital and one hard copy, that this could affect the total amount of this contract, and even going forward, because I would assume this is going to possibly be longer than this year.
Commissioner, I would definitely think it's a possibility, but I do think there are going to be challenges, because there's documentation, identification, and things like that need to happen on site as well. So maybe partial information can be entered. I don't know. At this point in time, that's how the process was designed, and that's how we do it. So we have not looked at doing it in that manner.
Okay. Well, I'm going to support this today, but I think we should look at this going forward. I think we should have two options personally. I know you have to bring your ID. I know things have to get checked on site, but I would think that having an option where someone can do this on their computer when they're registering would save a lot of time and make the process a little bit more efficient. But that's my thought. I'll leave it up to you guys. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I don't see any other speakers. Let's vote.
That motion passes 9-1 with that motion passes 10-1 with Commissioner Song voting no.
Thank you, Mr. Keys.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move now to item 6B on the agenda. That's for the purchase of Proprietary Waste LLC waste disposal services for $549.65. And I believe our Lynn would like to speak on that.
Chair, I'll make the motion to refer to full board.
Support
Thank you.
that.
Commissioner Haw made a motion to move to full board, supported by Commissioner Farrington. So I'll get that down, that I suppose ask for that sooner or later. Thank you, Commissioner Haw. Lynn, I believe you'd like to speak on this.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. The Purchasing Department solicited bids on the Mitten site for waste disposal services at the various county facilities. 197 vendors were actually notified of this solicitation. 24 vendors viewed documents and 4 sealed bids were received and publicly read by the Purchasing Department on March 4th, 2021. We are requesting authorization to award to the low bidder Priority Waste LLC in the amount of $47,549.65. And I would like you to note that the bid contains 2 one-year renewal options, which gives us the ability to extend the PO, provided that it is under the same terms and conditions. Funds for this waste disposal services are contained in the 2021 Facilities and Operations operating budget.
Thank you. I don't see any speakers. Commissioner Sabatini?
Thank you, Chair. Sorry, clicked there late. Hi, Lynn. How are you?
Hi, pretty good. How are you?
Good. So just really quick on this. I know with a lot of our buildings, a lot of people are still working remotely. Is it necessary right now to enter into a contract like this?
We still have garbage pickup, the jail, the 24-hour facilities. So we are still generating garbage.
Okay. I like the option ability in there. I was just thinking, just because our facilities, are not fully operational, if we really needed to do something like this right now and just continue maybe what we currently had on a month-to-month basis. But if this is your proposal and it meets what we need to get done, then I will support it. So thank you, Lynn.
Thank you.
Commissioner Zong?
Thank you, Chair. Hi, Lynn. How are you?
Hi, pretty good.
Does this proposal include any recycling of products, or is it just for trash? Is the county currently recycling at all?
We definitely participate in recycling. This does not include recycling. Certainly when they started the recycling program, a lot of garbage pickup, it was actually free. And then they started charging several years ago, but it does not include that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I see no additional speakers. Mr. Keys, can we vote?
Commissioner Wallace votes yes.
That motion passes 13-0.
Thank you. Moving on to item 6C, it's a loan agreement with the National Museum of the United States Air Force for the F-4D jet that's mounted on the pedestal at Freedom Hill Park. I'm not sure if there's any, but is there someone that wants to speak to this?
I can.
Chair, I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second by Nard.
That was Commissioner Zong who made the motion? Yeah. Commissioner Zong made the motion and Commissioner Nard supported it to move this recommendation to the full board. Commissioner Kleinfeld?
Is it Lynn that's answering the questions? I think she's, did you indicate Lynn?
Yes, I can explain this loan agreement.
Okay, so it says it has to be renewed yearly, and it's been 8 years since I've been on the commission, and I've never seen this before. There is no cost to it, so I thought maybe that was the rationale, and then I thought maybe the federal government is requiring the vote, or they've brought it up or something. Something changed, and I was just wondering what happened.
No, they did not change the requirements. We just thought it was appropriate to bring it to the committee and the full board for approval.
Thank you.
Commissioner Farrington?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Lynn, my question is along the same lines. When I read it, it says this loan agreement has to be filled out annually, and yet the identification information is not filled out, which would be needed for insurance. It was all left blank and no one from the county signed the agreement, which means we're still not doing the agreement even if it sits in front of us. Can you help explain that a little bit?
Yes, we will definitely fill in everything. We need an insurance certificate, and I believe the value of the jet is currently listed at $22,000. And we also have to provide pictures, and that's as evidence indicating that we are maintaining the jet.
And Mr. Chair, I don't know, maybe it makes sense to bring this back once the actual documentation is signed. I don't know if it's important enough for that, but just for your consideration. Thank you very much, Glenn.
Don, you're muted.
Sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, Commissioner Matuzik.
I do have a question along the same lines. This did not seem very complete to me. And in addition, if you read this, it does talk about costs that we potentially incur, insurance, painting, general maintenance to this plane, the hull of this plane. I'm sort of wondering, have we ever spent money maintaining this plane? It's been there a really long time. And if not, are we due? And if so, is there a budget number attached to that? I mean, it's not much, but it's not without cost if we're responsible for maintenance.
Yes, we are definitely responsible for maintenance. The maintenance that we have done in the past, which was rather challenging for us, is we had to repaint the jet. And it was the logistics of finding out you had to specifically match the color, which was sort of new to us. We were not the original department that got involved with this agreement. That went through the Parks board. And so we contacted Selfridge, and we were able to, and we talked to the National Museum quite often on this, and we were able to get it painted. But that was the largest expenditure. Other than that, it's merely inspecting.
And we don't anticipate having, I don't know when we painted it, but having to paint it again anytime soon or anything?
No, we don't believe so. Certainly not in this budget year.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Brown?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Regarding the completeness of the document form, I'd like to see it completed fully. And we've got the end of the month. We've got another meeting on the 29th of this month. Lynn, if you could just tighten that form up a little bit and bring it back to us on the 29th, I think that'd be in good order because we have those forms for a reason. They should be completed as fully as possible. So
certainly
there'll be no great harm done, but waits a couple weeks. So I'd like you to do it if you could.
Certainly will.
If that's all right with the chair, would you allow that to postpone this until the full board meeting?
Well, certainly if we would that mean voting this down today and
It would just receive and file the report and
I'd like to make a motion to receive and file, Mr. Chair.
And we'll
Hold on.
actually it'll be forwarded to full board on the 29th for action.
We have one motion on the floor, which I think we have to address before we can entertain a second motion.
Commissioner Kleinfeld's got something she wants to add.
I was just going to say, was it Commissioner Haw that made the motion? Commissioner Farrington? He can either just say, I amend my motion to the 29th. And if the supporter accepts that, we could move forward with that.
I'd like to amend the motion to the 29th meeting, Mr. Chair.
Is that accepted by the commissioner who made the motion?
Accept Zinner.
And if there's if we don't have to have a separate vote on that if nobody has a problem with that.
Okay, that's fine. Does everybody understand what the motion currently on the floor is then? Would somebody restate it so we can read it into the minutes?
The motion is to delay the vote until the full board meeting later this month.
Thank you. Mr. Keys, we can vote.
That motion passes 13-0.
Thank you. We'll move on to 6D, a contract with Wakely Associates, architectural services for 2021 masonry tuck pointing and paving and sidewalk replacement for a project bid of $70,000. Do I have a motion to move that to the full board?
So moved. Kraft.
Support Farrington.
Thank you. Motion made by Commissioner Kraft and supported by Commissioner Farrington. And I believe this would be you again, Lynn?
Yes, it is. This item pertains to obtaining professional services in order to develop formal drawings and bid specifications for the 2021 paving sidewalk program and also the tuck pointing program. Wakely Associates has developed these documents for us in the past. The focus of the paving program for 2021 is the Talmer Lot, Public Works, Majestic Plaza, and some sidewalk work around the court building and also some sidewalk work between the county building and the court building. The tuck pointing that we are focusing on in 2021 is the Hall Road facility, Old Central Receiving, what we refer to as the court building bridge, and also a window issue over at the Comtech building. The fee for professional services is based upon a percentage of construction cost. We are estimating both projects to be in the neighborhood of $1 million and a 7% fee. Upon completion of the plans and specifications, the purchasing department will solicit bids on the Mitten site, and these bids will be brought back to this committee for review and approval. We are therefore requesting authorization to execute the contract with Wakely Associates in the amount of $70,000, plus a not to exceed reimbursable cost of $20,000. Funding for this professional service is contained in the 2021 Facilities and Operations operating budget. And I wanted to note that once we receive the bids, the fee will be adjusted either upward or downward based upon the bids received.
Are there any questions for Lynn? Commissioner Sabatini?
Thank you, Chair. Lynn, is this, you said $1 million in total for this project. Is this part of the capital improvement budget, or that fund, I should say?
Certainly years ago, it was contained in the capital plan. And then a couple years ago, they folded in both projects into the operating budget since they are maintenance issues.
Okay. I just
But
wanted to clarify that
historically, they were.
maintenance. Okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Any other speakers? I have a question, Lynn. What kind of things are covered by the $20,000 contingency fee?
That would be printing, mileage. We don't think we're going to get close to that $20,000 fee. But if we need any consulting services above and beyond, if the architect, for whatever reason, is required to come out maybe on off hours, they could invoice under that. We don't anticipate the $20,000.
Okay, so you do anticipate some of it will be used, but not all of it?
That's correct. Definitely printing of some documents and also mileage.
Is that printing documents to supply back to you?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, you know, most businesses, the cost of doing business is in their fee. I would think printing documents to give to their customer, namely you, would be part of their normal business expense.
Architects typically use an AIA document, the American Institute of Architects document, and they do separate out reimbursable expenses.
Okay. Seeing no other speakers, Mr. Keys, can we vote?
Commissioner Wallace votes yes.
That motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. We'll move on to item 7, correspondence. The board received a letter of withdrawal from CMH appointment Brianna Jacobs. I realize this is not strictly internal services, but our staff brought it to me, and with the thought that this is a timely, this needs to be brought to the board in a formal manner in a timely fashion. So I okayed that it would be put on the agenda today.
Chair, I'll make a motion to receive and file.
Thank you, Commissioner Zong. Is there support?
Support from Kraft.
Thank you, Commissioner Kraft. Commissioner Brown?
Yes, thank you. We're going to have another vote on the full board meeting on the 29th. The names that weren't selected previously will be up for a vote by us to decide who will be the replacement for Mrs. Jacobs on the 29th. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any discussion on this? Okay, we'll move on to new business, item 8.
Mr. Chair, we'll need a vote to receive and file. I don't think we voted on that.
Thank you. On item 7, yes.
That motion
New
passes
business.
13-0.
Thank you.
Chair, I'd
New
like to
business,
speak. This is Commissioner Song.
certainly Commissioner Zong.
Thank you, Chair. I wanted to follow up with the question I had yesterday because it appears Andrew Cox is joining us today. So I hope you don't mind me putting you on the spot. Andrew, I did have a constituent make a complaint that the police were checking IDs at the Lennox drive-through. Is this standard procedure? Are the police providing security for the drive-through? Is that why they're checking IDs, or is it the county workers that would normally do that?
So, Commissioner, we've had a few correspondence in regards to the Richmond Lennox site, and I believe this is also based off of some misinformation that Richmond Lennox is utilizing police to run checks on individuals coming for vaccinations. This is totally false. This is not occurring. Checking IDs is a normal procedure for all of our site. Because we are administering a vaccine, we do ask that individuals bring ID so that we can make sure that they are the ones that are getting the vaccine, and also that it's them, the individual themselves, that are coming for their appointment, so we can cross-reference that list to the appointment list that we have. Richmond Lennox does have police, an individual, a police officer to help with traffic control, but is not from a security standpoint. My understanding is that person is not even doing any kind of screening of any individuals, that there's essentially just assisting with traffic flow to make sure that the site is running safe from traffic from the vehicles coming in and out.
Thank you for clarifying that. I appreciate it. Just to follow up, in the state of Michigan, is it a requirement to ask people for their ID when they do get a vaccine? I know it's different in every state. Do you know of any laws or requirements regarding this?
You know, Commissioner, that's a great question. It's always been part of our normal practice, and I know that's consistent across the board. I can tell you that if an individual does not have ID on them, we will try to still vaccinate that individual, especially if they can provide other forms of identification that they can use. We never want to miss an opportunity to vaccinate someone, and so we're very cognizant of the fact that we don't want an ID, not having an ID, as a barrier to get vaccinated. But in terms of legal requirement, I'd have to get back to you on that to actually state and reference the statute.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, Chair.
I don't see any other requests to speak. Anybody who's not using the board view who wishes to speak? Commissioners? Hearing none, we'll close that and move to public participation. Public participation is for those who wish to speak. Be advised that Rule 21 of the adopted board rules, personal attacks, coarse and derogatory language, and cursing will not be tolerated. Individuals using such language will be removed from the meeting. This is the second opportunity for public participation for anyone who wishes to speak on issues other than what was on today's agenda. For those of you calling by the phone, we'll have those people speak first in an orderly fashion, and then those people who are joining via the Google Meet can type their name into the Google chat box, and those names will be called in the order in which they were received. Staff, is there anybody on the phone wishing to speak?
Chair, we don't appear to have anybody on the phone and nobody in the chat box either.
Thank you. Second call for public participation. Anybody wishing to speak in the public participation? This would be on items not on today's agenda. Last call for public participation. Thank you. We'll move on to item 10, adjournment.
Motion to adjourn by Romano.
Support Hall.
Thank you, Commissioner Hall. Motion made by Commissioner Romano and supported by Commissioner Hall to adjourn. Mr. Keys, please vote. Have us vote.
Commissioner Wallace votes yes.
Thank you.
Have a good evening, everyone.
That motion passes 13-0.
Everyone
Thank
else.
you.
Thank
Have a
you.
good one.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Cheers.